Welcome to the course Business Research Method once again. In this first module, we'll be looking upon its introduction, its theory in research, key concepts in research, research process and hypothesis development, followed by conclusion notes. Let's get started. When we look into business research, the fundamental skill, it is a fundamental skill that really shapes organizations, evolve, innovate, and thrive. Imagine being a detective in a company, uncovering secrets that would lead to blockbuster decisions, just like Tesla anticipating market shifts or Starbucks discovering what keeps customers coming back to them more and more. Actually, what is business research? Business research isn't just paperwork, it is a systematic, objective quest to gather, record, and analyze data for powerful decision making. Maybe think of it as a GPS for organizations, guiding leaders whenever they hit crossroads. Let me cite two examples. Think about Tesla's market research. Tesla constantly tracks customers' preferences and global trends, and then decide when and where to launch its new models. Likewise, customer Starbucks consumer or customer insights. Starbucks uses sophisticated surveys to uncover what their customers are craving for, whether it is going to be pumpkin spice latte or eco-friendly packaging. So, what really bothers businesses with research? What is the necessity for it? In other terms, what would be the core objectives for going for a research? One is to spot new opportunities. Um, then I would say diagnosing problems, identifying a problem and then trying to rectify it, then implementing solutions. Let me make it a bit more clear. Spotting opportunities mean imagine being the first sensing the demand for a new product and getting into the market with it. It's an opportunity, right? Then diagnosing problem. Picture as a smartphone company noticing sales are slipping, coming down, and trying to identify is it because of the features or the price or the competition, trying to find out and sorting it out. Maybe another reason was is like the core objective of any business research should be to implement solutions for existing problems. Dell identified, for example, Dell identified its the shortfalls in supply chain, and it did a research, and then it sorted out to enhance its efficiencies. So, what is the motivational factor that makes businesses go for like business research? The first thing is like today businesses cannot make decisions based on assumptions or personal gut feelings of the individuals who are involved in it, but it has to enhance its decisions through facts and figures. The utility lies in efficiency, sharper strategies, and stronger edge over competitors that will lead to better decisions. So let's try to understand the approaches of business research. Theory, empiricism, detective, and inductive approaches. So, what is this theory? This is the map drawn from experiences. For example, the theory that consumer loyalty will lead to long term profit. It's something which was already foundational concept, I would say. This theory can also lead to empiricism, learning from real world observation. For example, a retailer counting footfalls before a sale. This is only through observation, right? Another major approach in business research is deductive and inductive approach. In other terms, top down or bottom up approach. In deductive approach, you start with a theory, form a hypothesis, test the hypothesis through data collection. Whereas in inductive theory, which is a bottom up approach, starts with observations, identify patterns, and then develop a theory. Let me just give you an example for this. For example, concepts, before I get into the concepts, like for deductive approach and inductive approach, say for example, discounts, like in a deductive approach, when we start with the theory, we propose a hypothesis like discount increases sales, which means gather sales data and then test the theory through some statistical tools. Whereas in an inductive approach, we say customers buying only after getting SMS alerts, which means you identify there is a pattern which is followed and then build a theory based on that pattern, which we call it as inductive approach. Moving next is the key concepts that leads to, that makes business research works. The key concepts are concept, construct, definition, and variable. Let's try to understand this one by one. Concepts are basically abstract ideas. For example, customer satisfaction is a concept, whereas constructs are elaborate concepts for scientific studies, such as say for if when we say concept is customer satisfaction, what could lead to customer satisfaction? No, the identifier is the repeat purchase. When the customer comes back and buys the product again and again, it shows that he is satisfied with the product, right? So constructs can be elaborate concepts of scientific concepts for scientific studies, whereas variables are elements that can change, like for example, discount percentage or sales increase, where we can again identify as independent and dependent variable. Let me explain this basic concept with an example. For example, when we take a concept of customer loyalty, the concept is customer loyalty, whereas the construct would be repeat purchase or buying back again and again, purchase behavior being repeated. Whereas the variables is the number of purchases per month or say per quarter. Okay. So when we have these concepts together, put together, this will lead to development of a hypothetical statement which can be analyzed further. Moving next is the research process. So let me take you through the research process overview, which wherein we are going to deal in detail with various steps in research process one by one. First, it starts with problem identification, then followed by research questions, then review of literature and hypothesis development. So problem identification is like, say a smartphone brand. You identify that that a smartphone brand loses its market share. So probably raising questions is what is the reason for this, right? What factors normally influences customer preference for smartphones? So you try to ask so many questions towards this problem and try to identify or enhance in its clarity, find the gap by the support or with the help of review of literature. So you will try to identify, or the company organization tries to identify what are the previous studies or somebody who has contributed in the same field say about it. What leads to, or what are the factors normally influences customer preference for buying smartphones. Doing a thorough review of literature is very mandate, which leads to hypothetical statements, development of hypothetical statements. So when we talk about this, hypothesis development, hypothetical statement has to be developed, which has to be tested to come out with certain conclusions. Here is a small example to quote with, as I told you. For a smartphone company, declining sales is the problem we identified. So, which means like when there is a decline in sales, that leads to decline in the market share. And the question is, what are the factors that would really influence a customer to prefer a particular smartphone brand? And like the supporting with the good review of literature will lead to identify the gap and then test it. So moving to the next phase is, hypothetical statements. What does this hypothesis mean? Okay, it is an assumption statement. So when we frame a hypothetical statement, there are certain principles which you have to follow. A good hypothetical statement will be clear, testable, and it would fit the research problem. Normally, hypothetical statement is divided into, maybe I would say it can be null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. So null hypothesis, when we say it has no effect, like discount doesn't affect sales, it's a stay assumption statement. Whereas in an alternative hypothetical statement, say H1, it predicts an effect. We say that it increases sales. Okay, so one, like when we talk about null, it is, it's like it says that there is no effect or no significance. But whereas in an alternative hypothesis, we say it has significance or it predicts an effect or impact out of the analysis which we are going to do. So the results are tested with data confirming or rejecting these ideas, which will lead to firm decisions. Okay. So let us try this, with a small case study. Suppose a company wants to enter a new market. The first step is, identifying the problem. How will customers respond to to our new product? Maybe asking the question, framing some research questions. What really, I want to say a similar way, what factors really influences customers to purchase or choose a particular product which has come newly into the market? And based on this question, supported with a review of literature, develop hypothetical statement stating brand reputation can affect customer trial rates. Or in other terms, when if a customer want to try a new product, of course, brand reputation is important. Then step 4, identify various variables like which can lead to what really leads to brands that reputation, like brand reputation score, trial rate, the advertisement reach, all this, that enhances the brand reputation can be variables. From the variables, we can identify the independent and dependent variables and then move to the analysis phase. So, trying to wind up this particular, module, first topic of this module. Now, we just talked about the business research introduction to it. What are the theoretical concepts that is lying behind? Basic concepts in research, the process, and the hypothetical statement development. So, business research transforms guesses into informed strategies or valid decisions through facts and figures, right? So it's a secret behind every innovation, new product launch or market campaign that really hits the market. So when you see a product which is really successful in the market, you have to understand that there were a lot of research that was done behind the stage before this product hits the or reaches the market. So let's continue to